I think we're really privileged tonight to be able to hear from this gentleman. This is Alter Wiener, who has not too long ago, and I just want to, my own experience with this, Alter came and spoke at the school that I teach at, and I just finished where I teach. And there were so many students that were extremely touched by what he had to say. And Alter and I were just talking about this on the way over here. I was able to pick up Alter, and we talked a little bit. And I had some students in my class who voluntarily wrote a letter to Alter after his speech. Kids that I would have never thought would pick up a pen and write on a piece of paper their thoughts. And they, whatever it was that Alter was able to say to them really touched them, and they wanted to express their thankfulness for that. So let me just introduce very quickly to you our next author. Alter Wiener is one of the very few Holocaust survivors still living in the Portland area. He has shared his life story in the state of Oregon and Washington with over, and now the number has changed, 850 audiences in universities, colleges, schools, churches, synagogues, prisons, companies, and book clubs. And just yesterday was at St. Vincent Hospital talking to a group of doctors and nurses. He has been interviewed by radio, TV stations, and newspapers. Mr. Wiener received an honorary bachelor's degree from Warner Pacific College and an honorary law degree from Lewis and Clark Law School. His autobiography, From a Name to a Number, which you can find over here, was published in April of 2007. You can get an autographed copy of that book here after we're finished with our speakers tonight. Alter, give me those numbers again. You were just looking at it on Amazon. You're in the top 100 in terms of rating, and in terms of history books, it's very high. You're up there. So people are recognizing the book and the wonderful story that he has to tell. Mr. Wiener, come on up.
Good evening, and thank you very much for really listening to my story. It's not a pleasant one, but it's a very true story. And ordinarily, when I do speak, I speak at least for an hour and a half. But since my time is limited, I will try the best that I can. I lived in New York for many years. I didn't talk about it. I realized that most people, including my own children, had difficulties to comprehend, to believe. But coming to Oregon about 12 years ago, I was approached by the Oregon Holocaust Research Center, and they asked me to share my story. I was very hesitant, I have an accent, my English is not perfect, but I gave it a chance, and my first presentation was at Century High School in Hillsboro. A week later, the teacher gave me about 100 letters from the students. What did they write to me? You changed my life. You saved my life. You made me appreciate my school, my parents, my country. Then I realized that I'm doing something important. And that is the reason, as I mentioned before, that I shared my story with over 800 audiences. And it's not easy. It's not easy emotionally. It's not easy physically. I'm 87 years old. And I never had an idea, or I didn't feel qualified to write a book. But what happened, I also speak quite often in churches. In one of the churches in Vancouver, at the end of my presentation, an older gentleman approached me, tears in his eyes, and that's what he told me. I was an officer in the American Army in 1945. I was one of the liberators of Buchenwald. Buchenwald is a very infamous camp in Germany. I remember what we found in those camps. I have nightmares to this very day. I am pleading with you. Put your story in print. Do it for my children and for my grandchildren. That is the only reason I wrote that book. I have no financial interest in it, but I promised, and that's what happened. Apparently, it is a good book, because as mentioned before, today, if you go to Amazon, the very top, you can see extensive research. My book today is number 45 out of 41 million books. When it comes to history, it is number 4 out of 2.5 million. And the other day I went to a Mormon church in Albany. At the end of my presentation, a young lady stands up and she said, "Mr. Wiener, I took you to bed for 2 nights." You took me to bed for 2 nights? I don't remember the one night, and my memory is so efficient. "Mr. Wiener, I went to bed with your book, not with you." I wanted to tell her, "You never know what you missed," but So you see, I cannot show you any slides. Ordinarily, when I do make a presentation, I do show certain slides which pertaining to my life story. Basically, in my book, the turning point in my life was when my father was murdered when I was 13 years old. He was just shot on September 11, a very infamous day, but this was September 11, 1939. The German picked up at random 38 people in our town, mostly Jews, some Christians, and they shot them. They shot them not to be killed instantly, they shot them to bleed, to suffer, until they expired, and then they threw them into a pit. Not in a normal fashion where you throw in on stones. We didn't know about this. We tried to get away from the border. But later on, they opened that pit. 3 months later, it was very difficult to identify those bodies. My stepmother recognized my father's body by the certain items that in his clothing that she was familiar with. I was at that point 13 years old. So you can imagine what kind of traumatic experience it was for me at such tender age. I have nightmares till this very day, just seeing my father's partially decomposed face. I might look to you to be a normal person. I'm not. It reminds me the other day I spoke in a library, and a young man approached me and said to me, "I know what you mean when you say you're not normal. I'm not normal either." I looked at him and I wondered, why did he say that? He looked to me to be a normal person, a young man. Well, I came back from Iraq, and I lost my right leg over there. They fixed me an artificial leg. People who don't know me personally, they assume that I'm normal. But when I come home to go to bed or to take a shower, I take my artificial leg, put it aside, and realize that I'm not normal and never will be. Same here. I have nightmares till this very day. I have physical scars, besides mental scars, till this very day. So I am not normal. I try to function as a normal person, but I am not normal. And talking about this, it's not easy either. But if you do read my book, and you don't have to buy it, it's available in all the libraries, you will see on page 158 a handwritten letter by an 8th grader that she intended to kill herself on Thursday, whatever the problem was. And then as she heard my story, she changed her mind. She realized how trivial her problems were in comparison to mine, and she did not kill herself. You will see over there a handwritten letter by a senior in high school that her mother passed away in ovarian cancer, and she was devastated. She was suicidal. But when she heard my story, that I lost 123 members of my extended family. They were all murdered. My grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins. I'm the only survivor of my immediate family. So then she realized, oh my God, I'm still lucky. I have a daddy. I have a grandparent. You, Mr. Wiener, at my age, lost everybody. So you see what's happening is they get a complete different perspective about life. If I talk to prisoners, for example, lifers, those will be sentenced for life. They sent me letters, I changed their lives. Why? Because they realized how good they have it. Comparison to me, they have visitors, they don't starve, they are not being beaten every day, they have medical care. I can go on and on and on. So that is, in other words, it's not a matter that I share a chapter on history. The benefit that people who hear my story, or you read my book, they benefit from it. And if you do go to Amazon, you will see thousands, literally, comments from readers of my book. They are grateful that I put that in print. So it is not easy to talk about it, but I was in 5 camps from the age of 15 to the age of 18. I couldn't go to school. When the German army invaded Poland, the first order was that I couldn't go to school. Today, when I go to a middle school, high school, university, I show them that I graduated from high school at the age of 35. I came to New York. I had no skills to make a living. I cleaned toilets. But I wanted to improve myself, so I went to Brooklyn College. I wanted to learn accounting. So they told me to be admitted to college. Where's your certificate from high school? I didn't finish high school. I didn't finish elementary school. Well, sorry, you cannot be admitted to college. So the only option that I had was to work daytime to make a living, and in the evening to study and submit the test to New York State. And after I passed the test, they gave me a piece of paper which is called the equivalency high school diploma. And with that piece of paper, I was admitted to Brooklyn College. I learned accounting. I became an accountant, and that is how I made a living till I retired at the age of 73. But believe you me, I have 56,000 letters. There are many letters from students who promised me to stay in high school. And this for me is very gratifying, because I know how difficult it is if you have no education. And if you read in the paper, 1 out of 4 students dropped out of high school here in Oregon, it is very painful, it is very disturbing. So I'm trying to convey the importance of that message. And it reminds me the other day, right in Hillsboro, I went to buy a pair of sneakers, and the young lady approached me, she said to me, "May I help you?" And I said, "Yes, please." Then she said, "Oh my God, I know who you are. You spoke in my school about a year ago." So I told her, "I'm glad that you recognize me." Then she said, "You know something, my mother would like to hug you and kiss you." I said, "I'm ready." But then she said, "You don't know why." Who cares why? I'll tell you why, she said, because when you came to my school, this was exactly the time that I intended to quit school. I was Walters High School. But hearing you, I realized how privileged I am, and I decided to stay in school. My mother is so appreciated. So in other words, what I'm trying to bring out, because time is so limited, there's a message here. There's a message here, and I know it's hard to believe. In the 56,000 letters that I received so far, there are over 100 letters from young students who were suicidal, and they told me that I changed their mind. So and obviously, that is the reason that I'm making an effort. I'm not being paid for honorarium. If I am being paid, I give it away to charity. I don't want to make money on my book. I'm giving it away. I just feel a moral obligation to share my story. And as mentioned before, there are very, very few Holocaust survivors left. I'm 87, I'm one of the youngest. So the responses of those, of the public, the readers, of those who are in live audiences, they tell me I have to share my story. And that is the reason that I am making an effort. And the other reason is, which is a very important reason, is there are people who deny the Holocaust. Even prominent people like the president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, he said in the United Nations 3 years ago that the Holocaust is a myth. How dare he say so? There are still Holocaust survivors carrying their mental and physical scars. Somebody tells you it didn't happen. I'm not so ridiculous. No other event in history is so well documented as World War II. And still there are people who say it did not happen. When my book came out, the first copy, I went to the post office and I sent it to the president of Iran. Yes, and I spent $30 to send it to him. And every year I'm sending him a letter with proof that there was a Holocaust, that he is making a mockery out of himself. that there was no Holocaust. There are 11,000 books about the Holocaust. There are 27 museums, Holocaust museums, just in the United States, besides all over the world. Somebody tells you didn't have it. And in my last letter, I did something unique. I attached a copy of the check that I have been getting from Germany every month for the last 60 years. And I asked him, why do I get a check from Germany every month if there was no Holocaust? Why don't you get a check from Germany? I mean, it's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm just telling you the reasons why I'm making it. Is my time up? Oh?
Your time.
Huh?
You're okay.
Your time.
I'm okay. So all those responses, it's amazing. I'm telling you, I was not aware when I decided to write that book. And when it came to the title, I was thinking, what's going to be the title? So I remembered when I came to the last camp called Waldenburg, they stripped me naked, they took away from me everything, everything. I don't even have a birth certificate in this very day. They gave me a uniform consisting of a jacket, trousers, and the uniform had no pockets, you owned nothing. And they gave me a number, 64735. They never called me by my name again. Can you imagine to what extent you are dehumanized? You don't have a first name, a last name, just a number? In that camp, we were so isolated that I did not see a woman or a child for 8 months. I didn't see a flower or a meadow for 8 months. I didn't see my own face because there were no mirrors. When I was liberated by the Russian army on May 9, 1945, and I looked at the mirror for the first time, I wondered, who's that person? I know it's hard to believe. I had hands the way you have hands. I couldn't write. I couldn't touch anybody. There was nothing to write with or to write on. I had ears the way you have ears. I couldn't listen to the sound of music. All I could hear was yelling at me, shouting at me, cursing me, and telling me that I'm no good. On what basis I'll never understand. I had eyes the way you have eyes. I couldn't read. There was nothing to read. And since there was nothing to read and we had no radio, I didn't know what was going on in the world. So on May 9, 1945, we assembled to go to work like any other day, but the German guards that ordinarily escorted us to our working place didn't show up. And we wondered why. Then a tank of the Russian army approached, and the officer told us, "You are liberated." I was very weak. This is me. I know it is hard to believe. I'm 18 years here, 18 years old. My total weight was 80 pounds. 80 pounds. I could embrace my tie with one hand. I could embrace one tie with my hand. The Russian doctors didn't give me hope to live. They made a mistake. They might be dead by now, but I'm here. I know it is hard to believe it's the same person, but it is me. And again, it is not easy. I always ask myself, as I was interviewed a few months ago by KTU, Channel 2, and they asked me a question. Do you have a guilt feeling that you survived and nobody else of your family? I told them, it's not a matter of guilt feeling. I'm not comfortable that I'm the only survivor. Why did I survive? Why didn't my brother survive? But on the other hand, I appreciate every day that I'm alive. It's a gift. And I appreciate every day that I was admitted to this blessed country. Thanksgiving Day for me is every day. And when I got my honorary law degree by Lewis and Clark Law School, it was a great honor for me. And that is what I told him. And if you do read my book, you'll see at the very last sentence, count your blessings. We are so lucky here in this blessed country. But I try to convey a very important message, and I would like you to remember that. When I was in Camp Lechame, at the very first camp, I knew that I'm a Jewish boy, And that is the reason that I'm oppressed. But I saw so many different groups marching to the same place. Who were they? Jehovah's Witnesses, gypsies, homosexuals, maybe 30, 40 different groups marching to the same place. What did I learn? Every Jew was a victim, but not every victim was a Jew. Would you please remember that? It is my personal conviction. If Hitler would have won the war, you wouldn't be sitting here in a free society. Hitler had a plan. Heute Deutschland, morgen über alles. Today we are in Germany, tomorrow we shall be everywhere. You don't have blue eyes and blonde hair. You are not a pure-blooded German. I am going to enslave you. If I feel like, I am going to annihilate you. This is very well documented. So we are all lucky that Hitler is not going to go. I think that my time is up, right?
You're doing okay.
Huh? I'm okay? I can go on for an hour. Yesterday when I spoke in hospital, I mentioned before to the doctor, and they told me that you wouldn't have to go, it was lunchtime, they gave me just 1 hour, and it was not enough. It is a very important message, but I don't want to take the time from other authors. What I can tell you is, which is very interesting and very, very dramatic. In February 1945, I was so emaciated, I couldn't work anymore. So the way the system works, if you cannot work, they kill you. But there was no crematorium in that camp, Wallenburg, so they sent me to a killing center. I was standing in line, I saw the chimney, I could smell the offensive odor of burning flesh. I knew that my life was coming to an end. All of a sudden, a German entrepreneur approached me and he yelled at me, "Come on, Rausnabe, du kannst doch bei die Arbeit kapieren. Get out of that line, young boy, you can still work." And he sent me back to work. And a few weeks later, I was liberated. Miracle, God's will, you never know. My point is, and I always tell the young students, never give up hope. You never know what's going to be tomorrow. And this reminds me the other day, on the lighter note, and I'm going to end. I went to a high school, and the young student asked me, "How old are you?" So I gave him my age. "How come you live so long, you suffered so much?" "I don't know. God knows. All I can tell you, my lifestyle. I don't drink alcohol, I don't smoke, I'm a vegetarian, I don't take drugs. This might have something to do with my longevity." "Are you telling me that you have no vices?" "Vices? Okay, I have 2 vices. I like chocolate and women." Then he said, "Me too." The following year I was invited to the same school, and the teacher presented me with a bar of chocolate. And she says, "I remember from last year your 2 vices. I can satisfy you with 1 vice only. But if you come next year, we shall see." There's always hope. I apologize for